All right, my friends, it's 4:01 and let's kickstart this event. Hello and welcome everyone. Today we are celebrating the 10th anniversary of International Girls in ICT Day, empowering girls to explore the fields of information and communication technology for their education and career. I'm your host, Charu Pasternak, co-founder of Educational Equity Now and software engineering lead at BitTitan. And along with me, I have a panel of very inspiring, smart, passionate, and strong women who will share with us their journey to where they stand today, the inspirations they've gathered along the way, how they overcome the challenges they might face, and how they stay motivated. And with that, I am just going to go over the list of panelists. We will start with myself, followed by Liz Martin. She is the Director of Operations at 20 Ideas. And then Jessica Raymond, Senior Director Marketing at BitTitan. Megan Mcmillan, Senior Software Engineer at Kiva. Ash Karzak, Cloud Engineer at BitTitan. After the panel briefing, we will have 10 minutes of question and answers, could be 10 to 15 minutes. If you have questions, please feel free to ask questions. That's what we are here for, to answer, any doubts or any questions you have. That will be followed by a brief overview of the Educational Equity Now website, and then we'll go over some STEM resources if we have time, and I'll show you guys really quick how you can use these tools to learn and have fun. And with that, my friends, I will start by telling you guys a story. One fine sunny afternoon, I was having lunch with my friends on the patio at work, and a data scientist friend of mine told me about a research study she read, which stated that only 10% of women last in the tech industry for up to or more than 10 years. February 2nd, 2021 marked 14 years of my career in the tech industry. I was born and brought up in India. I recall when I finished my 12th grade finals, my mom scheduled classes for me to go learn to sew. She was so excited when she came home and told me about that. But I expressed that I wanted to learn how computers work, how to code. And also, if I learned to sew, how are the tailors around there going to run their businesses? Coming from a business major in high school, one ideology that really stuck with me was more risk, more reward, which led me to affirm my decision about pursuing a bachelor's degree in information technology. 3 years into it, I was totally in love with the idea that everything was driven by logic. So mid 2003, I went on to get my master's degree in IT. I remember the first month at PTU, that's the technical university where I got my master's from, they had posters of this person and everyone talked about how smart this person is and how no one has ever scored higher score than this person in the entire university. Well, my goal for the first semester at the time was to learn as much as I can and to beat him. Well, I mean his score. I did beat his score and scored a GTF position with the university. Sharing my knowledge and experience is something I've always been very passionate about. Fast forward to 2006, got married, moved to US in November of 06. February 1st, 2007, when I got my first freelance project, they offered me the project despite the fact that I had no experience working with PHP, and I'd never heard of PostgreSQL. These are some of the technical things we use in coding. They hired me, gave me 1 month to study up, and when time came, I was ready to take on the task to develop and launch the website. After much hard work and long nights of research and coding, I was able to accomplish the task within the deadline of 3 months. I was able to accomplish the goal because I had a strong foundation, both in terms of technical knowledge and confidence, and in my ability to apply that knowledge to new technologies and new challenges. For each one of you out there starting a new career or making a career change, I urge you to make sure you have a strong foundation of technical skills and the willingness to apply what you know. And I assure you that you will find the confidence with which you can build anything on the strong foundation of your skill set. Since the last project was a freelance and I was much more comfortable being out and about, and so I interviewed for a web developer position with a mortgage processing company. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about banking and mortgage industry and how that works here in this country. But there was this one thing that always bothered me. No matter how hard I worked, no matter how fast I worked, my manager never said, "Good job, great work." Each time I went to him excited about being done with the task that was assigned to me, he would say something like, "Well, what about that next thing?" At that point in my career, I was still seeking approval from someone outside of myself to feel good about the work I did. And then came the best part of my life. My heart skipped a beat when I held my son for the first time. I was totally in love all over. After maternity leave was over, I found it very challenging to return to work and leave my firstborn at daycare. I decided to take a few months off from work, visit my family back in India, and spend some quality time with my son. When he was over a year old, I decided to look for work again. One morning, I got a call from a nonprofit and they needed a web developer. I was always curious about how nonprofits work and sustain, so I accepted the challenge. I was their only developer. I built their website, the front end, the back end. I built the intranet portal using SharePoint. I really enjoyed working there, and they really cared and valued their employees. During that time, my husband and I had our second child. After a month of maternity leave, I visited with my daughter to the office. They had a playpen set up in my office, and they proposed if I would want to come back, even if it's part-time, they would love that. I knew they needed my expertise, and I was really touched by how caring and loving everyone around the office were. Due to their understanding and flexibility, I resumed work a month and a half after my daughter was born. I was able to bring her into the office, set my own work hours. Everyone loved to play with her, and they even watched her if I needed to attend a meeting or two. It is amazing to see when an organization values its employees, how motivated the employees feel, and what a positive impact it has on their productivity. Everybody wins. After quite a bit of experience, when that nonprofit kind of like wound down, I moved to CBT Nuggets. I was a senior software engineer and a team lead. I often found myself as the only woman in a lot of meetings. At high time, we had 5 female software engineers among 80 plus male software engineers. I won't lie, there were times when I felt intimidated. I had the hardest time fitting in. I stressed over deadlines. There had been so many times I cried on the way home. Never giving up is just in my core. I overcame so many hurdles. I learned so many lessons, technical and non-technical. And today, I feel so much more comfortable and confident. During my time at CBT, I've earned many precious friendships. And after much self-reflection, I've evolved as a better human being. 3 weeks ago, I joined BitTitan family. Starting a new job during a pandemic wasn't an easy decision to make. But I took the leap based on the interactions I had during the interview process. Some of my core values, like empathy, innovation, kindness, and diversity, I experienced them all. And when you are looking for a career move, it's okay to take some time and make sure that your core values align with the ones of the company and the people you will be working with, because you're going to spend a lot of time with them. It's challenging to be in a field where your competence is sometimes in questions, even in subtle ways. But that can motivate you to excel even further and learn even more. I believe that each day, if you learn something new, it's a good day. And you can ask, that's the saying in our house. We go around and ask, what new did you learn every day? and it enables you to be better than you were yesterday. Learning new skills is one of the best ways to keep your job interesting, remind yourself why you got into that field, and build confidence that comes from inside. I might not already be a master of microservices or a pro at TypeScript or every other new technology that comes out every day. But what I am is a fast learner, adaptive. I'm competitive, compassionate, and I have a positive attitude. If there are some key points that I would like you all to take away from today, those would be: number 1, be self-motivated. Remember earlier when I said I was naive to seek approval from my manager to feel good about my work? Needing approval from the outside is an easy way to get discouraged. If you know you are honest and if you are giving your best, you don't need to seek motivation from outside. If you get it, that's great. If not, lift yourself up. Practice motivating yourself each day. Number 2, compete with yourself. Remember when I talked earlier in my university days about competing with others and how I wanted to beat that person's score and how I did? You know what? With all the lessons that I've learned in my career, I've realized you don't need to compete with anyone else. Compete with yourself. Learn something new every day, and that will not only help you be better than what you were yesterday, the addition to your skill set will add to your confidence, and you will automatically be on an upward curve to improvement. Number 3, you are not alone. Make friends at your workplace to share your experiences with. Knowing that someone at your work understands you and connects with you can make it easier to deal with the small setbacks you may face. We do spend a lot of time at our workplace. So you've got to have at least one good friend at your workplace, and remind them that you have their back and make sure they have your back. Last but not the least, number 4, you are powerful. Always remember that. Power to me is the ability to make a change in a positive way. You are strong and you have the power to overcome the challenges that come your way. And remember, if a hurdle or two make you fall, that's okay. Be determined to get right back up and move forward and win the day. Thank you everybody for your time today here. And with this, I would like to invite Liz Martin. She is Director of Operations at 20 Ideas, to share her journey with us.
Thanks, Sharu. Hello, everybody. It's really nice to see all these wonderful faces and get to meet with you today. My name is Liz Martin, and I am currently the Director of Operations at 20 Ideas. 20 Ideas is a small digital agency in Eugene. We build prototypes and products for startups and companies that need some assistance with their growing teams. And I love what I do. I love what I do because I'm challenged every day in different ways. I am passionate about puzzles and figuring out how to motivate people to solve puzzles and solve problems. My background is kind of interesting because I don't have any formal education in software or in tech. I do have degrees in botany, which is studying plants, and in women's and gender studies, so studying social movements. And so my journey into tech and into my current role is one of curiosity, asking for help, and grit. And so I just wanted to share that with you all. Just because you get an education in something doesn't mean you are stuck in that track forever. You always have the opportunity to learn new things and try new things if you're willing to go in with like an open mindset. And so I started my career in the nonprofit sector where I managed programs and grants, doing community education and outreach. And I really loved that and found it rewarding. I moved to Eugene from Florida in 2013. And at the same time decided maybe I was curious in doing something else. And so I started networking, and I went to events and meetups that were interesting to me. And I found myself spending a lot of time with software engineers and doing cool things like building robots and trying out software and trying to break software. And I loved it. And so I started looking into what would it mean to transition into a career in tech. I have a scientific mind, and I'm a critical thinker, but coding just didn't stick with me. Tried to learn Python a couple of times, and my brain just doesn't work that way. I didn't get discouraged, because what I learned is that there is more than one way to be in tech. And all of the engineers that I had become friends with and networked with needed somebody to help keep them on track, help them track all the details, help them understand the business case and the reason they were building the software. Have somebody go answer questions with the client or with their stakeholder so that they could focus on building the thing. And that's really where I found my niche. And so I started to look to find ways to do more project management and product management in the tech field. And this is where that network that I had built and started building became really important. I met a handful of really strong, amazing women in tech, which is quite a special thing, because there are so few. At least there were when I was transitioning. I'm so excited to see more and more women in technology. And they were very giving with their time. And so I asked them for opportunity to go to coffee, and I asked them for advice. And not in the sense of, can I pick your brain? I asked them specific questions about their own journeys into their fields and into their roles. I asked them about their career trajectory and how they've had the opportunity. And what I saw was a theme, which is lifting other people up. And I'll talk more about that in just a moment, but it was something to ask somebody the first time I met them, or when I had just done an informational interview and asked for advice, to say, can you give me a job too? I felt like it was really important to have that rapport. And at that stage, I was just doing information gathering. And so building the relationship was important to me. And so when I started to look for jobs and try to break into the field, I started going back to that network and asking for some help. Not in the sense of, will you give me this job? It was more along the lines of, can you introduce me to this person? Is there advice you can give me for interviewing or building the relationship? What skills do I need to build on my own? All of these things are really important and have informed my own way that I have moved through this field and through my career. I think it's really important to pay it forward. So those same amazing women that lifted me up, if there is a person that asks for my time and for advice in their career, I am absolutely there every time, because it's really important. Somebody gave me that chance, and I want to do the same for others. Then the next is that even in my own organization that I'm in now, and in previous capacities, I found it important to lean on other women, other mentors, and even, just coworkers in general that have been supportive and helpful and have helped me grow in terms of my career trajectory and learning new skills. And what I found is sometimes those people end up hiring you for other jobs. So remember when I talked about doing a lot of networking when I was first breaking into the field, my current boss and the CEO of 20 Ideas is somebody I've known for almost 9 years, who I met at a networking event and just stayed in touch with. And so when he reached out to me wanting a recommendation of somebody that might be interested in a job, I was like, well, what about me? And we finally had the chance to work together. And so it's important to build that network and to stay open and remember that you have people in your corner, even if you don't know that you need them. So the last thing I want to touch on, and not take up too much time because there's such an amazing panel of people here today, is to talk about how I moved into tech and then into management of other technical people, and the skills that have been most successful and important for this journey. So in my current role, I manage a mixture of technical and non-technical folks. And so what that means is I work hand in hand with engineers who know way more than I do about how something works. And I work with designers who can see the worlds that I can't envision yet, and they can make a visual and communicate that. And I work with everybody in between and the business end. And so what I've learned is you don't have to know all of the nitty-gritty details. You just have to know how to ask questions and how to lean on your teammates. So I had the honor of working with Sharu in my last job, and I loved it because I knew I didn't need to know all that technical nitty-gritty because she had that. What I did need to know was how to communicate with the team and how to make sure they had the information they needed to be successful. I also needed to know how to translate all of that technical jargon, digest it into something that the business end could digest. So, your sales teams, your marketing teams don't always get that technical level of detail and information, nor do they really care. And it's not their job. That's fine. That's where having a good team is really important. And so being able to translate is often important. I joke with friends that I am a nerd whisperer in that I can understand what engineers need and how they implement their job, and I can translate for them. All of that comes with the next thing that's really important in my role in tech, and that is continuous learning. Fields are ever evolving and ever changing. And so to have that curiosity, have that passion for puzzles, have that passion for solving problems is critical to being successful, and is really what I lean on the most out of my background in education, is that critical thinking, that curiosity, the ability to ask questions and find the answers. And finally, the thing that's been most useful in my career is empathy. I can't do an engineer's job, and nor do I, quite frankly, want to. That's a specialized skill. It's a special way of seeing the world, and I admire the people that can do that. And I have a lot of empathy for the way that an engineer might need to approach a problem or approach a project, and how that could be different than, say, one of my designers and how they might need to work and approach a project. I also have a lot of empathy for people that are new and entering the field and wanting to make sure that they are able to have the tools to find their way. And so I'm really happy to answer any questions that folks have, and I'm just honored to be on this panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you for your time. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on this panel. It's my honor, and yeah, so many learning lessons we've had, and we've had so much fun during that time. So, and we have this precious friendship for life. So that is amazing. Thank you. So next we have is Jessica Raymond. She is Senior Director of Marketing at BitTitan. Jessica, would you please share your journey with us?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me today, and it is so nice to see everyone here. I'm Jessica Raymond, and I am the Senior Director of Marketing for BitTitan. I get to work with Charu and with Ash, who you'll hear from in just a little bit. I've actually been at the company for almost 8 years, which in the technology world, especially in the smaller companies, is a really long time. I think the biggest thing that makes this exciting for me is that when I started at BitTitan, it was a teeny tiny company of 13 people. And now we're just kind of getting over the bridge of 200 people and thousands of customers. So I've been able to see and participate in the growth of this company. And I can actually put my finger and point to all the things I've gotten to do and that had an impact on the success of this company as well. I didn't actually know that I wanted to go in technology. So when I was in school, I really wanted to be a fashion designer. I wanted to move to New York. The other thing I wanted to do was be a makeup artist for the movies. All of these things are hard, and you have to move, and you have to work for not very much money at all in order to get into the business. So I started thinking about it, and while I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I actually was a flight attendant for a year. Turned out I didn't really love that either. And so as you heard some of the other speakers talk about, you're not stuck in any one job. I started applying for some office jobs because I thought that would be fun next. And one of the companies that I interviewed with was a small software company. They had only 5 people. And I did get the job, which was exciting. It happened to be a pivotal shift in kind of what I was doing. And I've been in the technology industry for over 23 years now as well. And all because of that one change that I made early on. And the neat thing about that job was because there were only 5 people, small startup, they had mapping software. They were building all these great things for people to take trips with. Now we have that technology on our phones. We don't even need that software anymore. But that was the start of it. And for me, I was able to not only work in a front desk capacity and see how the whole office worked, I got to start to have input on what was happening with the company, how we were marketing things, how we were talking to our customers, how we were building our software. And that included customer service, that included advertising, included public relations. So I got to try all of these different roles within the organization. And as we grew, I just started giving away all the things I didn't love as much as the other. And a few of the decisions were hard because I liked them all. It was just I couldn't do them all and be successful at it. So I started making those choices. And as time went on, I really started to focus more and more on marketing and specifically public relations at the time. The wonderful thing about that experience was my next role was in a public relations agency, and the woman who owned the agency was a wonderful mentor along with her partner. He was a wonderful writing mentor as well. And throughout this, I went back to school to get another degree and to be able to focus on specifically business and technology marketing. So clearly it was something that spoke to me and something that I wanted to continue to do and continue to learn. Through the public relations experience, I was able to go to the White House, meet with the president. We got to talk about keeping kids safe on the internet and putting technology and security in place to make sure that kids weren't exposed to things that were just inappropriate, especially very young ages. We were able to one of the things that really helped me is having all those connections within the public relations agency. And I ended up working pretty much for every single client, taking a role with them over time, who had small startup companies, because I had such a great relationship with them and had done such a wonderful job with those companies and being able to get their name and brand out into the market. As I moved forward, really got to experience different things within marketing. And for those of you who aren't familiar with marketing, marketing is the role in a company to help people understand what your company does and to get the word out about the product so that people buy it. So that's why people know what Coca-Cola is, people know what McDonald's is due to marketing. And when we look at Microsoft, they have a very big brand. Everybody knows what that company is, and they know what products Microsoft builds and sells. Well, my job is to build all of the various components and build a team to actually market those pieces so that people know what they're talking about. I think most people think too that marketing is fun, which I will say it is fun, and we have probably one of the more fun teams in every single company that I've worked with. But we do work hard, and there's a lot of technology that gets involved in the marketing. You do have to know specialized. It's not coding from the perspective of building software, but it is coding to build a website. There is design where you're working in specific technology. There are some of the components for demand generation, which is getting finding the people who are interested in your products so that you can pass those on to sales. You have to get certified in those products. You have to understand how to get people interested. Who are the people who are interested the most, and get those people over to the salespeople so they can speak to them and hopefully they buy something. And then of course there's the data that goes along with that as well. So understanding there's so many opportunities within marketing that it doesn't get talked about as much, but I think it's one of those areas that is always exciting, always evolving. But of course, that's partly because of technology. There's no year, I would say, that's ever the same. The technology changes on a regular basis. But when you're looking at marketing, the opportunities they're so plentiful. You can specialize in website design. You can specialize in social media. There's advertising. There's public relations. There's demand generation. There's field marketing. There's marketing operations, which is the backside and the back end of things. There is plenty to do in there, and one person cannot do it all. So that is one of the things I love about my job is I get to work with all of these people, and because we're sharing the information to others, I get to work with the engineers, I get to work with the IT department, I get to work with all of these other departments, which keeps my job infinitely interesting on a daily basis. I think one of the other things that I found from the perspective of really enjoying what I do on a day-to-day basis and some of those challenges is that not everything works. It's a lot of trial and error. There is no one right way to do things, and it's not so much about the mistakes. It's about taking something that didn't work, understanding why it didn't work, and what we can do differently to have a better outcome or a better impact as we move forward. It's a lot like what you're doing in school today. Even in fact, you've done this for years, and you probably haven't even really thought about it from the perspective of you're learning how to problem solve. If you can problem solve, meaning it's it's about asking questions, it's about looking for information, it's about figuring out how to get to that answer. If you can problem solve, that is one of the best tools that you will have to be successful, not only throughout school, but in your career as you move forward. You can do anything, and I think you've got a whole team of people here who are willing to help you and be a part of your career path as you move forward. Happy to answer any questions, but thank you for the time.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for sharing your journey. And it's great that you highlighted all these kids. They are going to school, they are learning to learn, and you're just always learning, and you don't have to stick with like Liz also said, the education that you get and then you have to have a career in that. You can always make changes because you're always learning and improving, and then making decisions for your next journey in life. Thank you so much, Jessica, for your time, and thanks for being here. With that, we will move to Megan Mcmillan. Megan, I would like to invite you. Megan is a senior software engineer at Kiva. I've had the pleasure of knowing Megan for many, many years. She's a dear friend. I've known her from when she joined my company as an intern, and then she became a full-time software engineer, and now she's a senior software engineer. It makes me really happy and proud to see where Megan is today. And I will tell you, Megan and I, we've leaned on each other a lot, because there's skills that she has and that I don't have. There are skills that I have that she might not be a pro at. So we've leaned on each other a lot, and it's an honor. So Megan.
Yeah, likewise. It was an honor working with you, and glad that we can stay in touch. So hi everyone, I'm Megan. I was born and raised in the Portland area. Technology has not always been something that came easy to me. In the spirit of other women presenting today, I've had a path. So all through school, my main interest was music and band. All I wanted to do in school was music, was not super interested in everything else. And so when it came to thinking about what did I want to do with my life, I was like, well, band director, totally. I'm going to be a band director. And so I went to the University of Oregon in Eugene for music. And when I was studying that, I took a class because we have to take general education classes. And this was actually the first time that I was introduced to technology, and we're learning how websites worked, how I can write JavaScript, HTML, CSS, all those fun technologies. And I just found it so fascinating. I had not been exposed to this before then. And so I guess what I wanted to highlight with that is it's really never too late to get into technology. You can become an engineer, you can be super smart in a specific area, and it's really never too late to start with that. It's all about learning. So after I took that class, I was super interested in learning more about how the websites worked, how the internet worked. And so I decided actually to switch my major. I loved the homework. It felt like a game, make this thing work. And so the work was super fun to me. I love solving problems. I love helping people. And if I can solve somebody else's problem for them, that's one of my favorite things to do. So the classes were super interesting. And I also struggled a lot. It was a really hard major. You have to learn how to learn. You have to learn how to be okay not knowing everything that you're doing, and still going forward with what you're trying to do, asking questions. And what I also really liked about computer science or engineering is that as a job, it kept my options open. I continue to not necessarily know what I want to do when I grow up, even though I think I technically am grown up now. And so engineering and computer science I saw as like this just huge, just bucket of all these things that you can do with those skills. And so I was like, I don't want to make a decision yet, so I'm just gonna punt that out till later. And it continues to be the case in IT, and as you can see by all the women on this panel, there's so many different things that you can do in the field, and I find that very empowering and inspiring. So during school, I actually started. I got a job at the hardware shop on campus. And they gave me a chance. I really didn't know too much about technology, but they're like, we like your skills with leadership and your experience in the band, so we think that you can learn. And I learned a lot. I learned how computers worked, and I learned how to troubleshoot or figure out what is actually the thing going wrong with the problem. Why is this computer not turning on? I learned how to take a computer completely apart and then put it all the way back together, and that was super, super fun. And in school, I also got involved with competitions, hackathons, and with those competitions, you learn how to work with people with many different personalities on a very, very short timeline. And it helped me really learn how to learn fast and get to know people at a deeper level. So as a student, I guess I also struggled with confidence and thinking that I was cut out for this field. And so I care really deeply about making sure that everyone knows that you can do it. You can. There's a place for you in tech. And so a teacher actually told me to, or they pushed me to go to a career fair. And they're like, Megan, you really got to get an internship. And I didn't necessarily feel like I was ready, but I did it. And that is where I met somebody from CBT Nuggets. And I made an impression on them, I guess, and they hired me as an intern. And that's where I met Charu. And so this is really my first tech job, and I came in QA, or quality assurance. The quality assurance team, they make sure that everything works, so that what we're building actually works when we push it out the door. And I really loved QA because I am great at breaking things. I'll break anything. And the key there is that you have to know how you broke it. And if you can say how you broke it, and this is what you got to do, then that's great. And you can take that back to the engineers. They can reproduce what you did and fix things. So I really loved that job, but I wanted a bigger challenge. And I wanted to be able to fix the things that broke. And so they gave me a chance, and I transitioned into the engineering team and started doing the back-end web development. And so the back-end is basically all the logic, like the data that you get, not the pretty stuff that you see on the website. That was Charu's expertise. But I found it very, very interesting and very mentally rewarding. And so at that job, you learn a lot, especially at your first job in the real world. School is very different. You have to, there is no right answer. You have to learn how to move forward with uncertainty, how to work with others, you learn what to expect in the workplace. It's a different vibe. And then, like Charu talked about, being one of few or maybe the only woman in the room. And when you look around and everyone is different or looks different than you, it can be very isolating. And so you learn how to lean on each other and support the other women around you, and support. I actually made friends with many male colleagues who also were great support with that. Continuing to second guess my capabilities on a regular basis and struggle with confidence. But the more you learn and the more you understand, or the more that I understand, the more confident I feel. And the other thing that I also struggled with was being much more emotional and empathetic than my peers. I thought that tech was not it for me. It made me think that I was in the wrong field, but there's a lot of strength that comes with emotions and empathy in tech as well, and in the workplace. And it's important to have that on teams. So learned so much. CBT was a fantastic organization. Eugene was a really, really good community as well. Everyone and many of the women here care deeply about their community. They're sitting on this panel as well. And so that was also like a really, really powerful part of my experience there. So oftentimes in careers, in order to unlock your growth potential, you have to move on. And so that's what I did. And I moved on to Portland. I worked at Nike for a little bit as a contractor, and realized that it was a great experience, but I also wanted to be on a smaller team and learn from others. And so that's when Kiva reached out to me, and Kiva is where I'm at now. Kiva is an amazing nonprofit. focused on financial inclusion and actually raising money for women all throughout the world, women who want to make their lives and their communities better. And you know, throughout my journey, I realized the importance to me about giving back to the world and working for a mission that I really believed in and cared about. And so that's what really appealed to me about Kiva. And also seeing the amount of diversity on the team. I've been working with 2 other women on the same team for the last 6 months, and it's a great experience. And I am actually now a tech lead, and I'm leading a team, and they're giving me opportunities to grow. And again, I am not necessarily ready, but I am putting myself out there. And so I think it's good to push through the fear and challenge yourself and give yourself opportunities to grow. And so the reason why I stay in this field, I touched on, you know, questioning whether to leave it. But I do really enjoy tech, and every day is interesting. You're always learning, you're always growing. I in a lot of my other jobs, I would get bored. And so, you know, it keeps me very interested. I love solving problems for other people, and being an engineer allows me to do that. And then what is, I think, the most important is that feeling that I felt looking around the room and not seeing anyone like me. I don't want other women to feel like that. And so I need to stay in this field, and I need to bring other women up with me. And everyone in this call, you know, has been saying the very, very same thing. And it's a very important thing to do. So that's my story. Thanks for having me.
Wow, Megan. I just loved it. It made me emotional as well. And, you know, that's one of the reasons that I am here is, you know, just like, you know, you and I were able to lean on each other. We need to be here so other gals can lean on us. And, you know, so many wonderful experiences. I mean, the hackathon that you talked about, you know, that I kind of was there as an advisor a little bit. But yeah, it's just been amazing. And, you know, the things that you touched on, lean on each other. You know, it's okay. Many times, if you have a unique voice in a room, you know, embrace that uniqueness, because diversity is very, very important. We all, if we all are really good at just one thing, then why does a company or a team needs all of us? Because we can just do one thing really well. You want to be good at different things, like different folks good at different things. Somebody is good at writing some sort of code or marketing or testing, you know, your product. So that is very, very important. Thank you so much, Megan. I so appreciate that we, you know, are still able to stay connected. And you know, I love that you are thriving at Kiva, and they are very lucky to have you know, a strong, emotional, and empathetic person like you. So thank you. Thanks for your time. And with that, we I would like to invite Ash Karzak. She is a cloud engineer at BitTitan. Ash.
Hello. Yeah, I'm Ash, and I work with Charu and Jessica as at BitTitan as a cloud engineer on the information technology team, so the IT team. So in IT, we don't make the website or program the software or tell people about the things that we sell. We actually support all of the other employees who are doing those things. And so what that means is that we are the department of every technology. We basically touch every piece of technology that exists within the company. You have to know a lot of things about a lot of different types of software and different types of ways that people do things. And I think that that is awesome. We manage the internet in the office building. We buy and maintain software that employees use every day. We set up computers. We physically build computers, and lots of other really, really varied things that make other people really successful. So it can be very, very rewarding because pretty much everything that you're doing all day long is to empower other people. And my main focus is integrating sort of all of our applications that we use together so that when people are using them, it feels very smooth and it feels like a continuous experience. And so I write a lot of code in a couple of different languages. I use a lot of different technology to help create automations and things that happen automatically. And automation is very important to my job. It's a huge growing field of specialization in the technology industry in general. And outside of my job, I live here in Bellevue, where BitTitan is based, with my husband and my puppy. Her name is Chicken. I love doing crafting. I do a lot of sewing. I do a lot of hand embroidery. I love playing games. I play a lot of video games, a lot of tabletop games like Dungeons and Dragons. But when I was growing up, it was really a stigmatized thing for people to like playing with computers and playing Dungeons and Dragons, and even more so if you were a girl who liked those things. So I never even considered technology to be a big part of my life until I was much older. In fact, I grew up on an avocado farm in Southern California, and I did not have access to the internet until I was 16. I didn't get my first laptop until I was 16, didn't sign into the internet until I was 16. Wow. So in college, I went on to study performance arts. I thought I was going to be a famous dancer. I thought I was going to move to Tokyo and live out the rest of my life in Tokyo as a famous, successful dancer. But I actually ended up getting injured and not being able to go into that career. And while that was devastating at the time, because you know, you grow up and everybody tells you, you have to go to college, you have to do the job that you get after college, and that's how your life is going to go. So I was like, oh, I've already disappointed everyone for the rest of my life. But it actually ended up being the best thing that's ever happened to me. I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time thinking about what I wanted to do much later in my life than the other people that were my age. You know, those people had made their decisions about how the rest of their life was going to go in high school when you didn't really have the information about like what the real world was going to feel like. So I kind of got lucky in that way. And I spent a couple of years working on that. And I think that's something that is common throughout most of the women on this panel. And I decided that I loved technology. I really felt like technology could open a lot of doors for a lot of people in the world. It could really empower a lot of people to do a lot of good. And so I feel like I didn't really become fully myself until I made this discovery and discovered my passion for technology. And so my journey started when I was 22, and that's totally okay. You don't have to follow anybody else's plan for your life except for your own. And of course, I ran into some difficulties breaking into the industry because I didn't go to school for technology. And so that's the first question you get asked is like, why are you doing this? But there's a lot of alternatives to a traditional degree that you can follow and still be really, really successful. So my big decision was that I did not want to go back to school immediately and get another degree, and that's totally okay. When I started my journey in technology, I attended one of those sort of web development boot camps. I did those. I did that at Code Academy in downtown Seattle. I did a lot of self-taught stuff. I taught myself how to build a computer from scratch using websites like PC Part Picker. I read, I think, every single post and interaction on Reddit that I could find that even involved building a computer, learning how computers work, teaching myself how websites work, things like that. I studied for other certifications like CompTIA and Microsoft. I failed a lot of them. That's okay too. You still get a chance to study, you still get a chance to learn, and you get a chance to do better. Before I found my home at BitTitan, I worked a lot of jobs that weren't directly technology related. I started getting into it as an operations support person at a music store, where I would do a lot of tech setups with computers and computer controlled AV equipment. We would set up equipment like this at shows, and we would go to events like parades and stuff. I didn't love that. I didn't like the loud music. It wasn't my favorite thing, but I learned a lot. Then someone at Microsoft gave me a great opportunity at the Answers Desk, which is kind of like the Geek Squad at Best Buy or the Genius Bar at Apple. This person took a big chance on me, and I'm always going to be grateful for them. I didn't really have anything on my resume that lended itself to getting this job, but they saw something worthwhile. So I'll always be really appreciative of that. And I learned so much in that job, working with customers all day, fixing their broken computers, recovering their files, backing things up, building new computers for them. And after that, I did a brief stint at Microsoft as a program manager. And that's where I learned I just wanted to write code and fix computers. I didn't find my passion in program management, but I'm really glad that I did it, because now I know it's not something that I loved. And right before my job at BitTitan, after transitioning out of Microsoft, I worked at a small MSP, or that's something called a managed service provider. And this is a company that provides IT support to companies that don't have their own internal IT people for one reason or another. Maybe they're too small, maybe it's not their focus. A lot of medical offices hire MSPs. And in this job, I learned the most about IT as a job. I learned the most about the technology required and the knowledge required and the grit that's really required to be in IT. And this is where I discovered exactly where I wanted to be in technology. And I'm still learning today, several years later, after working at BitTitan for 3 years. Last year, I completed a C# programming certification at the University of Washington. I'm currently enrolled in a certificate program. I'm going to enroll in another certificate program in the next month or so. So I think that's something that is in common with everybody else who's talked on this panel today, is that you'll never stop learning. You'll learn more and more all throughout your career, and it should be something that's like a big value to you, and you should learn the things that you're really passionate about. It's really important to be constantly learning, constantly improving your knowledge, and working to be the best in your field. You're always going to struggle along the way. And what I want you to know is that it doesn't mean that you're failing if it feels like you're struggling. One of my big struggles to this day is with anxiety and ADHD. You can ask Charu and Jessica. I was very, very anxious about doing this talk. I almost said no. I said yes, and then I almost said no afterwards. And a big part of my job now is training other people and doing talks like this. And so it's something I'm constantly struggling with. Sometimes these talks can cover really difficult and intricate concepts. And so I make a lot of video recordings of myself to practice, and I'll often spend hours making these recordings, fixing every little detail, because I'm so afraid of making a mistake. And sometimes it might feel like you're never going to be successful if you can't be perfect, or if you keep making mistakes, or because something just seems too hard to get right. And I want you to just remember that if it's hard, you're not failing, you're learning. And this is a concept that rings true in every aspect of our lives, but especially in technology. I told you earlier, I'm taking a certification class right now, and that certification class is something called ethical hacking. And this is where people in the technology industry like me learn how to become a hacker so that we can prevent bad guys and cyber criminals from actually hacking us, either at or in our personal lives. And this is a pretty cool concept. I really love it. And with hacking, every single thing you try is going to fail until one thing succeeds. That's just the nature of the game. And you do this all day, every day. You spend hours writing code and constantly having it fail, and constantly having it throw these big red error messages at you. And you might start to sort of feel like a failure when you're seeing failure around you all day long, and until you have this revelation that it only needs to work once. And you have to try over and over again in order to get it to work once and find the one time that it succeeds. But if you give up, you'll never give yourself the chance to have that success and to succeed. And you have to fight those thoughts that creep in telling you that you can't do it. And sometimes you have to fight off other people actually telling you that you can't do it to your face. Being a woman in technology means that sometimes people will think you can't do it, and they might say that to you. Every woman I know in this industry has experienced a situation where someone told them they weren't good enough to be where they are. And that's simply not true. It will never be true. You don't need anyone's permission to love writing code or to be passionate about computers or to enjoy using technology. The question isn't who's going to let you do it, it's who's going to stop you. Find your own passion, your own path, and follow that. Don't let anyone tell you that it can't be done. Constantly learn from your mistakes. Allow yourself space to make those mistakes, because that's how we get better, both as a person and in our jobs. When things get difficult, that's when you have the opportunity to learn the most. And most importantly, never ask anyone permission for doing what you love to do, and don't let anyone stop you. You are the creator of your own destiny. And the last sentiment that I will leave you guys with is something that's been echoed from every woman in this panel. And that's to surround yourself with women who will mention your name in a room full of opportunities. Thank you.
Wow, Ashley, that was amazing. First of all, all that anxiety, it worked for the positive. You did great. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, and it's so inspirational to hear everybody's journeys and the challenges and the things that we all mentioned. Continue to learn. Learning does not stop when you are done with school. It's not that if you go to school and study something, now you are stuck with that for the rest of your life. It's okay to explore different opportunities. But Ashley, one thing that you said that really is gonna stay with me forever is you are the creator of your own destiny. Own it. Don't let anyone ever tell you that you can't do something. And I've had similar experiences where people have told me, oh, you can't do that, or it's like, well, I'm gonna do it better than you. So yeah, wow. I am so grateful. Thank you to all the panelists for sharing your journey. I mean, truly, truly inspiring. And with that, we are going to move to the next section of this event, and that is Q&A. So all the wonderful kiddos that are here and participants that are here, you guys have questions. We can spend the next 10-15 minutes depending on the questions. I would love to hear some questions, some comments. Anybody? I see some people smiling. Oh, Misha has a question. How did you guys develop or gain confidence, not just in your careers, but also in real life? That's a great question, Misha. I'm going to open it up to the panelists. How do we gain confidence? Ladies?
By trying. I mean, honestly, the best way you can gain confidence is to try. By sitting back and not doing anything, it will be hard to get noticed. Your hard work needs to be celebrated, to be honest. And even if it's not necessarily the right answer or the right thing at the right time, try as hard as it is to put your hand up and participate. I would say that's one of the other things. So participating, answering questions, and give it a try. Try those jobs, find what you like. And as you find the things that you like, you will get better and better at them because it'll be more fun for you to learn.
Absolutely, absolutely. One thing that I find myself using this often is like, for example, me in this situation right now. I've just started a new company and I am remote, and there's so much to learn there. So I often use help me understand. Why did you do this, or help me understand such and such process. So that's another thing that I use. Liz, you had a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, get comfortable with not being super good at something the first time you try it, and have fun trying something new. And I think just sharing and being open, like Ashley did with how anxious she was about doing this talk today and talking to everybody, is acknowledge it. So this is my first time doing this. I'm really nervous. And just sharing that you're nervous and maybe you're not going to be the best at it, because you will get better over time. And if you think about sports or musicians or any artist, they work really hard for a really long time to get good at something. And the same applies for other new skills and challenges. I think about becoming better at Zoom or Google Meeting and learning remotely. It took some adjustment, and it took some fumbling through turning on my microphone and having the right filters on before I really got it. You get a good laugh in the journey.
Yeah, I want to echo something that you said also, which was get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Get comfortable with putting yourself into uncomfortable situations. And that's a big thing in the ethical hacking world as well, which is get comfortable knowing that you don't know what to do, but that you have the expertise to figure it out. And getting to that point where you know that you have the expertise to figure it out, or that you know that you can, is just a journey of working through your learning, exposing yourself to difficult situations, and just taking that first step to try. And if you feel uncomfortable, it means that you're doing the right thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have another question from Ashiana. What do you do when someone does not treat you fair?
Yeah, I can jump in on this one. It's something that I have dealt with fairly often. And the first couple of times where an uncomfortable situation comes up, or an unfair situation where, wow, I'm feeling like I'm not being treated right here, you have to follow your gut. And I think the best thing to start feeling confident in those situations about being treated unfair is to talk to someone that you really trust. And it doesn't have to be someone that you work with. It can be someone who's a loved one or a friend, and to sort of confirm your feelings, validate your feelings with them, and then confront it. And that can be the hardest thing. And learning how to confront something can be really difficult. And so you can ask that question of that person that you trust. I want to deal with this. I want to never experience this unfair situation again. What should I do? And talk through what the best response is, what the most tactical response is to get what you want, but also not make anyone else, put anyone else on the spot or get anyone else in trouble, because that's not the goal. The goal is to just prevent this from happening to you or to anyone else in the future. And so I think opening up to someone that you trust, and then figuring out how to confront it, and then following through and confronting it is what I do.
Nice, thank you. Anyone else wants to chime in?
I would just say, and over the years, you are going to experience uncomfortable situations, and you will be treated unfairly, and it will happen to everybody. It's not, necessarily unique from that perspective, but it doesn't mean that it's okay, and that you should absolutely do something about it. So I agree with Ash. And there are other things you can do as well. You know, some of it depends on the company you work for. You want to work for a company that treats you fairly, because if something happens, they will come to your aid in that, and you will have bosses and managers who will help you through that. And I would say, you know, initially, always go, if it's with a specific person, go to them first, and kind of, you might need to write it out so you can stay on track, those types of things, rehearse it. But, and then if that doesn't work, there are people who will advocate for you, and you can take it to the next level from there. So don't be afraid to speak up.
Absolutely. Yes. And just to add to that, you know, I would say, like Jessica mentioned, go talk to them. Oftentimes what really helps me is when I am talking with somebody and I'm gonna have a difficult conversation with them. I often declare my intention before I have that conversation. Is like, my intent is not to hurt your feelings or make you feel bad. My intent is that I am feeling in a certain way and I want to talk it out because I really value you as a coworker, and I want to be, I want to get along with you, I want to be friends with you, but this one thing that I don't think is fair. And maybe you misunderstood something, or maybe they said something else but meant something different. So declare your intentions, I think is very, very important. Thank you. Karen had a question for the kiddos. What do you imagine a tech job might look like for you? Misha said, Karen, I've never really thought about a tech job before, but I like it. But I feel like it would be something that I would want to be tech support, so I can help people figure out what the different problems or solutions could be. Yeah, like Ashley mentioned, that's kind of how she started. So absolutely, Misha. And then Nara mentioned computer construction or website software development. Absolutely. Yeah, helping people is definitely something that's so rewarding. Raina, thank you for sharing your journeys, and that where you ended up was not what you started. That is really good to know. It often feels like we are supposed to know what we want to do with the rest of our lives. Nope. You just learn, evolve, and I had a little bit of an evolving situation. Is 5 to 7 years ago, my purpose in life was completely different to what my purpose in life is today. And I know for a fact in the upcoming years, your purpose of life changes. And along with that, so much other stuff changes. Your career choices, the things you are interested in, so change is the only constant, is sometimes I remind myself. Misha, have you ladies noticed more women joining in tech over time in this field, or has it decreased or stayed the same?
For me, I've been in the field quite some time, but when I first started, the very first trade show I went to, there were, when you go to a trade show and these big software events, there's thousands of people there. There were 3 women. We knew who each other was because we could spot each other across the room, that type of thing. So it's a very different world than it is today. But at the time, it was shocking because growing up here in the Seattle area and being in technology early on, half the company was women. So it didn't seem that strange until I went to another state and that trade show to realize that there are very few. But over the years, there has been a definite increase in the number of women in the field and in more technical roles too. So it's been fun to watch, and it's been amazing to be able to experience that with these women as well. So definitely an increase for the better.
Awesome. Anyone else? Liz?
Yeah, I've also noticed there are, maybe it's because I'm looking for them, there are more women in technology in general with a variety of backgrounds. And I am seeing more women in leadership positions in technology, which is really encouraging because that encourages more people like, oh, somebody looks like me and I can get into this. And so that's, talking to the diversity importance that Sharu mentioned in her talk. You see somebody that looks like you in a role that you're considering, it's like, okay, this is more accessible, they can do it. I'm pretty honored that in my company, in our leadership team, so there's 6 people that run the business and 4 of us are women. And so I think that's pretty powerful to see happening. Yes, it's a small business, but it's growing, and I like to see that change.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Megan?
Yeah, so I haven't been in the field for too long, but what I can say is that so I'm kind of going towards engineering management. I enjoy working with people, and what has been told to me is that oftentimes women who are in those positions are in like the leadership positions in like the engineering teams, especially. They have to go a roundabout way in there. They grow their skills in quality assurance or IT or some other like parallel field to engineering, and then jump over to engineering. And the path is opening in front of me, and so I'm able to go through a much more traditional growth path, similar to a lot of boys in the field before me. So that's what I can add.
Yeah. Ever evolving and ever changing, that's for sure. Any other questions? All right, so we are going to move to the next section, which is I would like to share with you guys the Educational Equity Now, this website that I created for the nonprofit that Nels and I we are in the process of starting it, and just getting our feet on the ground with this initiative. So let me present my screen here really quick. A window. I'm going to present this one. Okay, can you guys see? There we go. Alrighty, you guys see the website? Yes?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so Educational Equity Now. As I mentioned, Nels and I, we are very passionate about bringing equity in education around the world. That is one of my purposes of life right now. Educational Equity Now, this is our first step towards that mission. This platform is designed to support students, educators, parents, and other allies in their learning journey. We offer support by providing a variety of educational, community, and professional development resources. I would say visualize this as a collaboration hub that promotes equity. It supports inclusive practices and provides equitable educational opportunities for all. So if you go to educationalequitynow.com, right there you can choose, do you want to explore some educational resources, community resources, professional development resources, or you want to contact us. I would love to hear from you guys, so use this little form. Going on to educational resources here, quickly go in here. Here you will see, we have some playlists for, and some of this is targeted towards students with exceptionalities as well. Somebody wants to learn how to safely walk near the traffic, or how to ride a bus by yourself. It could be, scary at times. Employability skills. There are some custom lessons here that Nels has developed, and all of this is constantly evolving. So with time we are going to be consistently adding more resources to this space here. There is exercise and motor skills. You know, there are some nice like dance and exercise sections there. Of course, history, music, math. But today, I would like to spend a little bit time on the STEM resources. So STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. And also, just to highlight, this new content little badge will tell you that there is newer content, and you know, each time I add something new to a particular section, I would probably put a new content. So if you can see that, like science or social and emotional skills don't have the new content because resources. There are a few resources that I could find that I've put here. We'll obviously be adding more. I would actually love to create some workshops by myself, or you know, collaborate with other people who want to create some coding workshops, and then we will put them here, or some engineering, you know, a fun engineering activity, we can put the instructions here as well. But you know, for example, online voice recorder, you can click here, and you know, this is a free resource, and I think Nels uses it a lot for his teaching. Is you can record your voice if you have a presentation or you know, something of the sort, and you want to record your voice and voice. Another one here is Interland by Google. This is a lot of fun. I've actually, like, this is for kids, but I've played it. Interland, this is part of Google's Be Internet Awesome program, which teaches youth the fundamentals of digital citizenship and provides parents and educators with the resources to help youth navigate the web and their, you know, online interactions. I mean, with this pandemic, all of a sudden, you know, our schools, our education, our interaction with our friends has all gone online. So while there is so much to learn here, we also need to be aware of hackers, of oversharers, of bullies, and we need to be aware of all of that, and we need to learn how to protect ourselves and our friends while we are enjoying the interland or the internet, you know. So this is a fun resource. There's like a few challenges. I've spent some time on this. I don't play games a lot, but you know, I've done that, so that's pretty cool. My personal favorite is this Hour of Code. Both my kids have used this resource. You can go to Hour of Code, try it. It's super you know, super fun. It's free. So, and it, you know, it has categories for all grades, and then you can go from pre-reader all the way to high school level. You can choose beginner or comfortable. Hour of Code is a global movement, and that is introducing tons of students worldwide to computer science and inspiring kids to learn more, breaking stereotypes and leaving them feeling empowered. You know, this is there. You would find a brief introduction of computer science, and then there are usually 1 hour coding challenges that you can try out, and you don't actually need to learn and need to know how to code. This is kind of like putting blocks together. You just put blocks together, and each step of the way, incrementally, you learn. And and you can play it on any browser. You can play it on your iPad, on your phone, anywhere. But my personal favorite is this Minecraft one. I love this one. You can just click on it, and you know, you can start. And here, I mean, people who do Minecraft, they probably know there's all these different challenges. You can click on start. I'm just gonna spend a quick brief minute on this to show you how easy it is. So there was a video you can watch about it. You can choose your character. Let's say I choose this, and you know, there are these little challenges that they give you, and it's really simple. You just drag the block here, drag the block here, run it. There you go. Wasn't that simple? And then, there are all these different levels you can go through. And I mean, by the time you've gone through this, hopefully within an hour or so, you've learned, the basic fundamentals of coding. And that just by dragging the blocks and using simple English language. If water, do not go forward, or if fire or lava, jump over it, stuff like that. So, check it out. They have a lot of different themes. They've got, dance parties. There's Star Wars for the Star Wars lovers. There is, Elsa, whatnot, the Frozen theme. This one I really like as well, because you can learn to design. So when you talk about tech, it's not just about pure coding. Designing is part of that. IT is part of that. There's so much more to it. So yeah, it's a lot more resources. There's one by Microsoft here. The CS First for Google is really fun. This is actually a curriculum that they have it laid out for students who want to just jump right in there and learn, or for teachers, they have curriculum set up for that as well. So yeah, check it out. There are community resources, there is professional development resources, and if you guys have more questions, if you guys would like to connect, if you guys are looking for that person to lean on, just go right there and send me a message, and I will do my level best to reach out to you guys, and we can have a chat. So I always love connecting with people. And that is, I'm gonna stop presenting. All right. Anyone has any questions? Any comments? Absolutely. Thank you for being part of this. This is very dear to my heart, and I couldn't have done it without you guys. So yeah, thank you everybody. And one thing I've learned is time is one of the most valuable things we have as human beings. So thank you everybody for giving your precious time to listen, to participate, to inspire others. And I hope, like we, the panelists, have inspired you all, and I hope we can stay connected in the future, and we can empower each other and inspire each other. The last thing I want to say is, let's be the change we wish to see in the world. And remember, you are powerful. Always remember that. And I am right here. Reach out to me, and I love to connect with people. All right. Wow, we did it just in time.
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
Great.
All right, my friends. Wonderful
Thank you.
comments in the chat. I'm going to read them. And yeah, signing off for now. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
That was great. I'll see you soon. Maybe we could get dinner sometime.